The guest is Mr. Demeke and Ms. Hilt, and one from Fisk University, Mr. Demeke, and Ms. Hilt from Tennessee State University. And of course, Ms. Hilt, I think we promised before we had our final commercial break that we'd give you an opportunity to speak to the issue of the Horn and Kenya, because Kenya, I think, has been in the news quite recently, and I understand that you are a specialist still and having been to Kenya and dealt with Kenya. So what's going on in Kenya from your perspective now?
Well, a lot of people right now are collapsing various issues going on in Kenya. I think that the one that is the foremost issue and the one that needs to be dealt with the most immediately, and also the one that the international community can help and assist with the most, is the current humanitarian crisis, which extends beyond Kenya, because an unstable Kenya will be unable to provide the services that it has previously been providing to various countries. So currently, in addition to the deaths, there are roughly 250,000 Kenyans who are currently displaced. But more significantly, Kenya has been providing absolutely fundamental resources, not only to populations of people in various countries surrounding Kenya, but also to aid workers and people leading humanitarian efforts in those places. For example, I was doing some research in southern Sudan and had to be medically evacuated to Kenya. So an unstable Kenya can really be problematic for surrounding countries. Now, politically, I think that we should focus more on what is actually happening than on what Kenya represents. I think that when you get more concerned with the president and the representation, you can lose sight of the immediate situation. So they have had a thwarted election, and now President Kibaki is conducting himself as though the elections were valid and as though they have not been contested. And that's problematic. But I think that if we leave it there politically, we can assist and help Kenya deal with their political situation. I think when we begin to make projections about the destiny of an entire region, then we get more involved with we don't focus on the solutions, and we're not as effective.
So would it be fair to say that our position has to be that what has happened in Kenya has happened, and that while we might deplore the whole thwarted government idea and et cetera, that we still have to work with whoever is there the best that we can work with them in order to protect and save some of the people that would otherwise would not be saved if we continue to deal with the government as such?
Well, I think that immediately our position should certainly deal effectively and quickly with the humanitarian crisis. And secondly, I think that we should continue to make decisions about a United States position in regards to Kenya as things unfold there. Ultimately, Kenyans will have to deal with their political issues as a sovereign nation. However, pressure can be put on President Kibaki to handle a situation differently. Trade agreements can be affected. There are a variety of ways to influence a government that is not making decisions in the best interest of its population. And there are also a variety of ways to fairly and nonpartisanly support individuals or citizens of a nation who are being treated unfairly. But if you focus on human rights and humanitarian issues, I think that for right now, that should be the impetus.
You know, Mr. Demeke, we've talked about Ethiopia and we've talked about Kenya, but now the Sudan and Rwanda and several other nations in that area, it seems to me that there ought to be some kind of organization